All right, hello and welcome to our career webinar. Welcome to our career webinar, How Today's Top Companies Recruit, Creating the Ideal Resume and Mindset for a Technology Job in 2021. Our guest today is Sarbojit Mallick, co-founder and the Chief Business Officer of the Organization for Instahyre. I'm Stuart Creek. I'm a marketing manager here at Simplilearn. We're going to have a Q&A discussion today, and I'd like to start by giving you a little overview of the WebEx instructions. If you haven't used WebEx before, you can enter questions for Sarbojit in the Q&A box. Please direct them to all panelists so that everybody sees them, but we will be collecting those and asking those at the Q&A section of the webinar toward the end. In the chat window, today we'll be using the chat window for our polls, which we normally run through the polling function. And what I would like to do is, if you have a chat question, again, make sure you direct it to host and presenter or all panelists so that everybody sees it. And you send. I'm going to start with a poll, and you can put your response in the chat. How much work experience do you have? So if you would just enter A, B, C, or D in the chat window. And we'll give you about 20 seconds to do that. That'll let Sarvaji kind of scroll through and get an idea of what the numbers look like. A for most experienced and D for still in school. Five, four, three, two, one. Seeing a lot of A responses. Great, so let's move on, and I will introduce Sarbojit. He, as I said, is the co-founder and chief business officer of Organization for Instahyre. He's responsible for anything that's required to make customers happy during customer interactions. And he interfaces with their hiring companies that work with them and keeps track of the temperature of all of the job seekers. He previously founded a company called Hippie, and I think he has an interesting story about that. And he is an alumnus of NIT Durgapur in engineering and has his MBA from NTIE Mumbai. So welcome, Sarvaji, and we can start our cameras.
Hey, hi guys. Good to see you. Good to see you all. So yeah, brief introduction. Thank you, Stuart, for introducing me. I am also an engineer, like most of you guys out here, and also an MBA. It's like like around 30–40% will be MBA. I see a lot of guys in college and a lot of guys in the experience range. So briefly telling about myself, so I am an engineering graduate from NIT Durgapur. I passed out in 2009. And then I did a job for around 3 years as a consultant in the manufacturing sector. And then I did my MBA from NITI Bombay. Post that, after 1.5 years, I worked with Mahindra. And then I co-founded Hippie, which was into adventure travel. So it was the first of a kind adventure travel company in India. And post that, I came into Instahyre, and me and Aditya are building a better future for millions of candidates which are there. So as of now, Instahyre has in the 3 years of making, like when we pivoted to the new platform where we use technology to help companies to hire better candidates. We Our technology is like pioneered in the way, as in we only give companies the best and relevant candidates which are active at any point of time on our platform. We work with majorly most of the tech companies which operate out of India, large companies like Amazon, Walmart, PayPal, VMware. And then we have very high growth companies operating out of India like Uber, Swiggy, BookMyShow, and others. And we have a bunch of startups. So in total, we work around with around 10,000 plus companies, and we have around 15 million candidates registered on our platform. We started off with in the technology role, and then we diversified into tech and non-tech both. So this is a brief about us, and we are going heavy on technology. And in this session, I will share you some of the secrets which we have learned through our 3.5 years of experience of founding Instahyre. And this will also help you to understand what is required to make a resume compelling to a recruiter. B, what is the mindset of the candidate which the recruiter or a company wants. Okay, so there are different sets of companies, different sets of recruiters, and as in the Indian scenario, recruiters are the gateway where you get into companies. Okay, so first of all, you have to make your resume compelling. So this is what our session will be, and yeah, over to Stuart. So yeah.
Okay. I think I'd like to start with the poll question you wanted to ask the audience about their general motivation. I think everybody's here because they're either seeking a job or thinking about seeking a job. And so again, in the chat window, if you would tell us what's the reason, the main motivation that causes you to be looking for a job now. Again, A, money. B, looking for a new experience because you're bored. C, slightly different, looking for new challenges. And D, to learn new things in a new skill.
I see a lot of D, a lot of C, A, and D. Okay. So nobody is there for the money, I think. Like everybody is for new experiences and learning new things, is it? Okay.
I'll give it another about 10 seconds and then we'll move on.
Okay.
In about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
There we have it. So you've got a feel for why people are moving or looking to move. And what kind of a recruiting process are they going to encounter? I mean, what does it look like today, the process that companies use for recruiting?
So, see, the companies which operate, they operate on two bases. They hire under two purposes. First is to build something new. Okay. And the second is to scale something which has already worked for them. Okay. So these are the two processes which help them to recruit. So the first thing is to build something new. So I go back a year back. 2020 was a landmark year where we had Corona coming in and the pandemic raging through. And most of the companies understood that the talent which they source need not be local. Okay, need not be coming to their offices. So the gamut of recruiting increased multifold, and the process of recruiting changed drastically. Okay, so revelation has been that it has completely changed how hiring managers and the TA heads view and shortlist and reject the candidates. Okay, so now finding a developers for something new has become very common. Okay, as for Indian companies as well as for foreign companies, because the digital content or the digital consumption of India has increased drastically. Okay, uh, there you have one major advantage is that you get motivated by new set of problems which is coming in. Okay, rather than think of better options where I can stay near the office or other important things. Okay, so you get to work remotely, get to work on very interesting problems. Okay, So the interview type has changed from person to video calls. The whole process has changed. So as the world adapts, we have seen multiple places, workplaces going remote. So example, Uber has been a company which has been working with us for the last 3.5 years, 3 years. They have gone completely remote in certain areas, and they have got huge amount of talent which they could not access because they had offices in certain places. Now they can. Okay, so this brings us to the most important question, and Stuart, I will answer your question, like how do companies actually assess these candidates? Okay,
Right.
companies looking to hire people to build exciting stuff, the stuff which does not exist. Okay, they have to build it from scratch. They will look into your resume for the projects you have built. Okay, so I have discussions with majority of all the recruiters which are working on our platform, like companies who are coming to India, like Gojek and Twilio and others. Okay, Slack and others. They look for candidates who have very good GitHub repositories. Okay, how they actually contribute to the community and how they do open source projects. So if you're looking to get hired in companies like this, like even Amazon and Uber, okay, who are looking to hire developers, they to build their new stuff, be sure to include these details in your resume. Okay, first thing they will look into that, are you hands-on on that? Most of the companies in India look for hands-on talent unless they are strictly looking for managerial roles. Okay,
Mhm.
so one key point is highlight your projects, which helps the other person understand your work. Because I will tell you how the process goes for the recruiter. The recruiter will have limited amount of time to look into your resume, and you have to highlight that projects which you have done, so that he or she understands that yes, this guy is important to the project I have been handling, or I have been given the responsibility to hire for. Okay,
Right.
so this is the first thing which I want to tell you. Highlight your projects and tell what the project actually means. Do not get into technicals, but tell them that this project I have done, this is the users, or this is what has been the impact of that. Yeah, so this is the first thing which you can do. And I get a lot of questions on this every time I go to our like chat center and candidate center, like how am I going to get into such a big competition. So the first thing what you can do is showcase your projects. There will be people who will be looking into a resume for certain keywords, certain projects which you have done. Okay, uh,
Right.
now okay, so I'm speaking a little bit faster, I guess. Yeah. Sorry, guys. So I will go. I will just slow down. Okay. Um, Second thing is the second set of companies hire for something to help them scale something. So scale something means like they have built the technology. Now they want to scale it up to a million users, to 10 million users, to 100 million users. Example, food delivery companies like Swiggy, they majorly hire for scale. Okay, or to build, they have their labs which they built new technology upon, and they want to hire for scale so that they can implement this technology which is in the lab to the masses.
Right.
Okay, so this is where they will look for candidates who have seen scale. Okay, they might not seen the magnanimous scale. Okay, so magnanimous scale is not possible for a candidate who have worked in like 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Okay, they might be working for like 10 to 12 years to see that scale. But scale can be identified how you define growth. Okay, suppose you have taken a company, so you worked on an architecture where a company has been doing 1 million transactions a year, and then you have scaled an architecture to around 10 million transactions a year, or build architecture to support from like 10 to 15 signups a day to like 10,000 signups a day.
Yeah.
So this kind of scale also helps these companies to gauge your talent. Okay, this guy has done 0 to 1 million or 1 to 10 million. Maybe he can also do 10 to 100 million. That risk they are okay to take. But if you have not worked on scale, they might not shortlist your resume. Okay. Example, Swiggy, Myntra, Uber, and a bunch of other new age startups which are like hyper growth, like Khata Book, and there are a bunch of other guys who look for this kind of candidates who have scaled their categories or their product line. Okay, so how do you stand out for such kind of companies? Okay, how do you stand up for such kind of companies? You defined, you built for scale, and you have to specify that what is the scale you have achieved and why it succeeded, and you have to compress that in a minimal number of sentences. Don't go like a paragraph. An ideal resume should be a one pager. Okay, so a one pager resume should have everything. So as of now, you can see a bunch of different type of resume structures which are coming in. Okay, with all the graphics and graphs which we will be discussing in the later part, but that also you can take, but be sure to compress, and you need a little bit of wordsmithing in here, so that you have to get the recruiter a feel that yes, I have done this. Okay, and you should hire me for this. Okay,
Sarvaji,
so
that leads to another quick poll question I just want to share with the audience to get
yeah.
what their ideas are or preconceptions are about resumes, and and then we can discuss whether that's something that you share or where they might be where you might redirect them. So in this case, in the chat window, tell us what you think is most important in your resume. Is it your experience, your education, your specific skills, or is it some type of attention-grabbing device that makes you stand out? And give you about another 15 seconds or so for that.
Mhm.
We'll close it in about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And
Yeah, most of it is C, I think, the skills. Actually, that is correct. So as we see from uh, our experience, skills matters a lot. Okay, we have seen how pedigree also matters in some cases, like guys from IITs and NITs and other top colleges and B schools coming in, and we have seen the skills matter a lot. When you talk to people, okay, who have built or scale companies, you will see they hire for skills and aptitude only. Okay, even skills is a secondary thing, they hire for aptitude, because if the guy has aptitude to learn and understand and take up a new skill, they can learn the skill easily. But if the guy is not able to grasp new skill, they won't they won't be a very good asset for that company. So yes, C is important, but before that, aptitude is also very important to like grab those skills and use it on a day-to-day basis.
okay,
Yeah.
that's an interesting point. It's not you're talking about aptitude as in the ability and willingness
Mhm.
to take on a new skill or learn a new area.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Adapt and own, that is the motto here. So you adapt to a new skill and own that new skill, and then you learn a lot of things about it. So that we have seen in like a lot of companies, even in the sense of when we work with a lot of recruiters, our insights from these interviews which we had with, like, we had around 34,000 to 45,000 recruiters every day accessing our platform. And we do a lot of poll questions, and we have our customer success team talk to them. So we wanted to understand for the candidates itself, to help them get better jobs and get a better life, is for if they hire for multiple job positions, and but what are the key pointers which they see in resumes that stand out? Okay,
yeah,
so around 48% say that we see who have worked in similar companies. Okay, if I'm hiring for an e-commerce company, I will see guys who have worked in certain e-commerce companies. Okay, if I'm hiring for a certain company which has this kind of scale, I will see people who have worked in this kind of scale. So around 48% out of this 40,000 odd recruiters told us this. Okay, Then they what they see in the resume is numbers which has been put up to support the skill, and if they are explaining what the numbers actually mean to them, okay, and the technologies which they have worked for. So that is around 72%. That is a huge number, because they will only need people who have worked in certain kind of technologies, or have experience in, like, hands-on experience in working in that, and also if they have skilled in this kind of technologies. Third is who have given like their GitHub or Bitbucket links and have very high activity on them. Okay, so this is one thing where we have seen that a lot of social proof is required. So we work with a lot of very high hyper growth startups, very hyper growth companies also, which is operating out of India and build their development offices and other offices in India. They say that our first qualifier is how the candidate has solved larger problems for the community, okay, and how they're contributing back to the community. So if you see coding is a community exercise, like people do and then they share their code and people come and collaborate. So this is how they see how this guy can collaborate as a team, solve large problems.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question that is slightly related to what we talked about in the poll, but what do most job seekers overlook or fail to do when they're putting their resume together? What are some of the biggest mistakes they make?
So the biggest mistake they make is they talk about things like so everyone wants to talk about their experiences, right? So when they talk about experiences, they go like, I have done this and I have done that, but they fail to mention it in very solid points. Okay, and when you don't mention it, so see, a recruiter will look in an average day. A recruiter looks around 500 to 700 resumes, average, on an average day. Okay, on a day when he has multiple job openings to post and to look into resumes, the time goes less. Okay, so like 30-40 seconds. You have 30-40 seconds to impress a guy. It's like an elevator pitch. You go to elevator, you talk to a guy, and then you have to, like, boom, you have to get into it. Okay, so how do you do it? Okay, the first thing what guys miss is they will put on paragraphs and then huge paragraphs. That is, like, first thing the recruiter will see a paragraph, they might go to the next resume and see bullet points. Okay, they do not highlight things. Okay, suppose I have scaled from 1 million to 10 million, they should highlight that thing, right? So whenever this guy is looking, suppose a fintech company is looking to your resume, and you see that 1 to 10 million transactions is highlighted, so then the bulb will go on. Then they will come and say, okay, this guy has done 1 to 10 million. The other guy might have done 10 to 100 million, but he has not highlighted. Okay. Secondly, the projects which one showcases, that should have the impact. Okay, what is the impact of the project? So people try to tell about what was the project all about, how did I accomplish that, but what is the impact? Okay, so if I have gained some cost savings, or have reduced the development time, or have eased the pain of thousands of customers. Okay, so this is one major thing which people normally they do not like, they neglect. So in MBA, so all of you guys who are there, if someone is an MBA, so you guys already know that in the top B schools, you have around 1 month to prepare a resume. Okay, so in 1 month, you are trained to prepare a polished resume, and it's a one-pager resume. Whatever your experience is, it should be a one-pager. So all your experiences you should be able to explain in one page. Okay, right now you can also go for 2 pages, but that the perfect thing is a one-pager resume. Okay, so that things like, how can you compress information but showcase the most important information on top? Humans generally read from left to right. So how are you developing your left panel of your resume? And don't keep in blank. You develop your left panel so that people when read, they will read from left to right. Okay, yeah, sample resumes, you will get a lot of sample resumes. The understanding of creating a resume is like a storyboard. You have to tell a story, and you have to tell a story within certain seconds. So your story has to be very strong. Now there are 10,000 other guys who are looking for a job, same job as you. It will all come to the 3, 4 lines or the 5, 6 lines which you have written to support your claim. So
Right.
that thing you should work upon. So it's the storyboarding which candidates generally falter. They write a lot of things and they make it a 3 page or 4 page resume thinking that they will get selected, but no, it should be a 1 pager at the minimal, like the maximum length should be a 1 pager, and people should write everything in that 1 page, so that the recruiter has also a time when they will open the page, they will look into the whole resume at one glance. They will see certain points, you will highlight certain points, what you want to highlight about yourself.
Yeah. I want to hit on what you said about the left panel.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're creating the points that the resume that the recruiter is going to see, it sounds like what you're saying is that your sentences should start with the important experience and the important accomplishment of that, so that the first words they see when they come across the line are, you know, scaled to 10 million for a company, rather than doing it the other way around where they have to wait until the end.
Exactly.
Because they may not get to the end of the sentence. I like what you said about elevator pitch. For the audience, an elevator pitch, imagine you get on an elevator in a building and you recognize the boss who you want to hire you, and he hits floor number 12. And you have the time from the ground floor to floor number 12 to talk to him about why he should hire you. So an elevator pitch for anything is, how would you compress it down into that, 30 seconds or 60 seconds that you have available? The more the more concise you can be, the better you are. So.
Exactly. And the whole process of this, this whole process is kind of a sales process, if you understand. So the candidate is selling the credentials to the recruiter buys it, and now the recruiter will sell the candidate, not sell the candidate literally, but sell the contents of the candidate. So this is a good candidate. The hiring manager should have a look at it. So how will the recruiter pitch that candidate? So it's all about the pitching. So recruiter will pitch the candidate to the hiring manager. Hiring manager will like the candidate, and then again they will pitch to the senior level where they get a job and all that. So the company is also pitching to the candidate why you should join me, and the candidate is pitching that why you should take me. So this is all about the pitching and the elevator pitch which you have told in detail to the candidates. Yes.
Yep. What do you think, Sarbojit, makes the biggest difference between someone who gets hired and someone who doesn't get hired when they're both applying for the same job?
So the first thing is the content which the candidate has written on the resume. Okay, so I have seen very good candidates, like these guys have worked in excellent projects getting rejected. Why? Because the resume was not at par. Okay, so what was the thing which they have faltered? So there are 3 basic things which you can make a resume compelling. Okay, so use graphics to highlight your best skills. Okay, don't mention skills which you are half-baked, because if you are asked questions in the first call that, okay, you know Java, so tell me about this about Java, and you don't know, you're gone, right? So that is the first thing. Like the recruiter will call you for a 10-minute call to understand what you know, and then if they get something which is not correct and which is not in line, they will reject you. Okay, so don't mention anything which is half-baked. You tell them, okay, I am a novice in this, I am learning this, and I will learn in 1 year, 2 years, but I know this very well. So highlight your best skills. So if you are getting hired, you are getting hired on the skills which you already know, and you are not getting hired on the skills which you are in the learning phase. Because if suppose I am hiring for my company and I am getting a developer, so or a sales guy, I will not hire a sales guy who is learning to sell, and before that he has been in other jobs. Okay, so might as well I will hire a fresher and train him to do sales, right? So this is how you go about it. But aptitude, yes, company sees aptitude. That can be like through tests and aptitude tests which the company throws it. Second is a company also sees the intent of the candidate. So what is the intent of the candidate? There are online courses, offline courses which the candidate can take on her free time to like increase her grasp of knowledge or to enter into another field. I have seen a lot of people asking me that how do I get into cloud computing? How do I get into data science? That is how you get into things. Like you start learning. There is a single point of to learn. You cannot leave your job. At some point of time, there might be financial troubles leaving your job and going to a new college to do that. But you have to start learning. So you take courses. There are online courses which you can do. So this also is taken into consideration. A recruiter will always see what is the intent of the candidate. Is he or she a learner? And if he or she is learning continuously and continuously improvement. So continuous improvement is the intent which the recruiter will always look into. So always be ready to put on your courses which you have done and what did you learn from these courses? Have you implemented that knowledge? Okay. Third thing is very important. Right now we are all in a remote setup, and right now we see companies building teams. These teams are built on a single person or couple of person who lead these teams so that they can scale up that product. Okay, but so you won't hire for, see, you won't. So if you see, if you have guys have read books about like scaling up startups, and there's a very good book by Reid Hoffman which is Blitz scaling, which you have seen. So a company has different stages. So it's very small stage like 5-10% company, then it goes to 10 to 100, then goes to 1,000 people company. So these guys, they will look for people who have leadership skills. Okay, though they might not be so much skilled, but they might have leadership skills and aptitude to grasp that thing and to lead a team. So these are two different aspects we should look for. Leadership abilities, how will you judge the leadership ability? If I have to build a team, I have to find a leader. Then that leader will build a team for me. Okay, so
Right.
if they are working for like thousands of teams, I cannot hire thousands into 100 people for the team. I will hire 1,000 people. They will hire the rest 100 for their teams, right? So the leadership ability. So most people mention extracurricular activities as if they wanted to have a section for that, and they just write down the extracurricular activities. What leadership abilities and qualities do you want to project to the recruiter? That is the most important thing. What kind of committees you have been to? Okay. What are the activities you have taken while in college or school? Okay. And you have to give them solid evidence of that. So generally people like write true things, but don't fake it in this case. Like if they find out, that will be a very bad experience. And one of the most important factor which I have seen across through, like we work with around 15 to 20 million candidates. Okay, the first certain things which we have seen stands out in most candidates from the others is like EQ, the emotional quotient. Okay, so asking yourself what is this and why is this important? Okay, how will you perform in a team? How will you lead a team? How will you align yourself to the mission of the company? Recruiters always like candidates who are very enthusiastic and curious. So when you are going for interviews or when you are preparing a resume, have that energy and showcase that energy. You should be energetic and you should be excited about the opportunity. Okay, how will you align yourself? So this is how they will see your positions of responsibility. They look for NGOs, if you have done any work in organization in your college, you have led. So all these things come into play.
Um, Before we forget, can you mention the name of the book, the title and author of the book that you mentioned about scaling?
So Reid Hoffman, he is the founder of LinkedIn. So Blitz scaling.
What's the title again? Is
Blitz scaling, BLITZ scaling.
Yeah, Blitz scaling.
Yeah.
Terrible title because Blitz and scaling both, one ends when it starts with the same letters or sound, so it runs together. But anyway, there it is in the chat window. And I'm going to ask a poll question because it relates to what you were talking about in terms of extracurricular activities, leadership, demonstrating that ongoing curiosity and that type of thing. So
Yeah.
let's do our last poll here. And what do you in the audience think is the most important for landing a job? Is it your qualifications? Is it your attitude and your mindset? Or do you think both are equally important? And again, we'll give you about another 20 seconds to answer in the chat window.
Most of them are C.
Yeah.
Both are C, B, C.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So there you go.
Yeah.
And so my question about that is, what's your opinion on that, Sarvajit? And how does the right mindset set a successful job seeker apart?
Yeah. So a very famous quote by a renowned Argentinian economist. His name is Fred Kaufman. He told that doing your job might be hazardous to your career. Okay, doing your job is might be hazardous to a career. So this is a one-liner with encompasses everything. Like, first thing is, what is the mindset the candidate is bringing, and what is the energy. So every team which we have has a certain energy level. Okay, when you add extra energy to it, it goes up. So everyone wants to add new energy levels to the team to raise the bar of energy plus the performance. So the biggest factor which you see in most cases is the mindset of the candidate. Okay, so it consists of various factors which you see on day-to-day life. You might not consciously like tick mark, okay, this is mindset A, mindset B, but you can specifically understand. First thing is, how does she handle situations? How does she take ownership of the situations? So you will see certain cases, somebody takes full ownership of the situation and solves it as if it is her problem. Okay, it's not a company's problem, it's a problem. That is the ownership level mindset which we have. This is what makes a candidate go from a entry level position to a senior level position to a leadership position. Okay, that is the single most thing, the mindset. So if you see recruiters, they always look for leaders. Okay, so they might be looking for an entry level guy, but they will always look for leaders in that. Okay, because they will always think that, okay, the leader is the best bet which they can get. Okay, so if you see that your resume speaks volume about how you handle people, many resumes will speak about a lot of positions and positions of responsibility. Okay, so the most important question is, why is mindset such an important thing? So this can be answered in one short question: are you willing to go all the way? Okay, so but are you willing to go all the way? So how, like, mindset creates opportunities as a person. Okay, so you will see a lot of, like, one good friend of mine, Amitesh, okay, who comes up with like extraordinary skills and experience, very good pedigree, very good college, and then after that campus placement, and they got a very good job. But he faces, like, he thinks the job as job. So what happened is, after a certain point of time, his growth stopped, and he's still stuck in the mid senior level. Other guys who are in the same batch has went up. So here you will see a lot of examples like that. Why? Because it is the mindset. Okay, so mindset is, you are leading yourself, and then you're leading a team. You might not be leading a team at entry level or like till mid senior level or like junior level, but you're leading yourself. And as you lead yourself, you will be leading your team will follow. Okay, people will look up to you. This guy is leading themselves, and this is how you get into. So you might be an entry level guy in a large organization, but a sense of ownership makes a lot of difference. And the whole difference, like, believe me, this is quite visible in companies which you go to. Okay, yeah. And yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think I would like to ask one last question. What are the most important steps that you recommend the people in our audience to take to prepare their job search this year in 2021?
Okay, so this is completely by personal opinion and should be taken with a pinch of salt. The most important thing is, first of all, you take a piece of paper and a pen and write down what you want to do. Okay, why do you want to get into a job? Okay, first things first. Okay, things which you should be there in your list should be kind of a storytelling approach, which you should do, a storyboarding approach. Okay, don't start typing on your resume like in one go. Think about what the things you want to project. Talk to your peers. Okay, talk to people who are not in your segment. Like if you are a marketing guy, talk to a guy who is in sales or who is a developer, and see how they see yourself. So you will be able to pitch to them, okay, in very simple lines, that what you stand for and why you should be hired. Okay, so that is the first level of authentication which you should do. Okay, so when you have this paper and you express yourself, then go to the resume part and present yourself. Okay, so then the resume becomes your storyboard to the world. So this is the one pager. The recruiter will never see you. Okay, they will never see you till you come to in person or video calls. Before that, thousands of candidates are getting rejected or they are not replied back. Why? Because they are not presenting a very interesting story to the recruiter. Okay,
Correct.
so make a solid resume, divide into three parts, preferably make it a single pager. Okay, you can have multiple resumes for different set of companies to highlight your competencies. So certain companies, so you might have worked in different segments and you might have different competencies. Okay, but you can make different set of resumes for different companies to apply for.
Yes.
This is a very common practice in many of the B schools. Okay, introduction should be there with a two-liner. It shows your past experience. Don't keep on writing about your past experiences and your college. So make it a little bit of like 2-3 liner, which helps you to like helps the other guy to understand. Yeah, this is the guy which stands for. So this is just a trailer, and then your experience, your notable extracurricular activities. Remember, nobody wants to see what like your experience has been if they do not see any value in them. So present the value in such a way that becomes compelling to them. Okay,
Yeah.
most important thing which we is also networking. Networking is a very important aspect. You do not network with people when you need a job. You network it's like every day, every year, day in the year, you should start networking. So this is a practice which you should do. In India, it's quite neglected. Certain people do network very well, and more like 80% of the guys people do not network. So start networking. This will help you do two things. First is, whenever you want to switch, you have the full knowledge of the company, or you have full bunch of peers in that company which know you and they can refer you. Second is, you get to understand what the market is doing. Okay, what is the new technologies coming in, what is the new marketing strategies which are being implemented, what they have done. So this all helps you to gain more knowledge about the market, about the businesses which are operating. Okay, uh, yeah. So a third thing is, create a very compelling profile over job boards. Select a good photograph, okay, with a clear background. Okay, we have like people also create the first impression when they see you over like networking sites and also over the job board with like different set of photographs. Make it very professional. So see all the like with a clear background, that will help. And you like how you operate and how you network will also help you to understand how you can add value to this company. So you will have a first-hand data on that, right?
Excellent. Um, we're just about at the time for questions and answers. I did want to mention one thing from our conversation here. I noticed you use terms like elevator pitch and trailer and storyboarding. So
Mm.
those are familiar to me because one of the things I do in my spare time is make movies. So
Okay, guys.
for our audience, a storyboard is how a movie maker tells the story on paper like a comic book, like in panels that show what will be on the screen. And it's a great way to summarize um, the important points of the story and what sequence they fall in. And that applies to resumes as well. As what's your personal story you're telling to the recruiter, and what sequence does that fall in? What are the main scenes or highlights that you want to put in front of them in the right sequence to persuade them to pass you up the chain to the hiring process, right? So at this point, I'm going to go to the various questions we've received. I'm only be able to ask you a few of them in the time allotted. I apologize to the audience in advance for that, but some of the key ones we have. One that came out of the WebEx chat from Ishika, who asks, does distance learning education rate on the same level as regular campus courses?
Okay, so if I take you back like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, distance learning was a new thing in India. Okay, and the campus courses were given much more importance than distance learning. At this point of time, when people are hiring for aptitude and skills, distance learning becomes a little bit gained a little bit importance throughout this 5 to 6 years down the line. Okay, so yes, campus courses will be will have a weighing of like 80:30, but distance courses are also getting their importance as and when we speak. Yeah, it's about getting your skills.
Yeah, and of course, on-campus learning is not available
Yes.
right now. So we're all, even the people who are enrolled in,
everything is distance learning. So right now, like when we talk to a lot of people, when you talk to a lot of recruiters, you get to know the ground reality. So distance learning or no distance learning, people also learn from YouTube. Okay, people learn to code from YouTube. People learn to market and do marketing, like social media marketing from YouTube, and they're earning. So it is not like I will do business courses and this is my degree and will I get a job or not? No. If you have the skills, if you can perform in the assignments which you have been given, or if you have the projects which to show for, and you have the clients which you talk to, so they will talk to your clients and say, hey, this guy works really well, and you should take him. So we will be hired. So people are looking for skills. They do not really care about your courses which you have taken. So yeah.
Ajaz asks if you can give a list of the skills that are most in demand in the market now, that in priority.
So in demand skills in the technology side will be anything related to machine learning and AI, Python, and like DevOps is also coming up. Okay, and other skills are also there. In the non-technological side, you see social media marketing, digital marketing, SEO, all these things are coming up. So anything online, anything digital, because if you see the corona pandemic, which happened in like from March, everything has been shut down. This has increased India's consumption of digital content like multifolds. It's like we are 10 years forward. Okay, so right now you see a lot of people only transacting. So if you shopkeepers in India, they mostly transact on internet. Okay, Paytm and all these apps coming up. So how do you market these things to the other guys? You do it by digitally, right? So people are, there is Geo in India which has given us free internet, almost free internet. So this is how you market it. So this is the skill which is coming up most: social media marketing, product marketing, and marketing over internet and digital channels.
Okay. We have a couple of questions about skills like RPA and cloud computing, and I presume that those are also
yes, RPA, like robotic process automation, has always been there. So it is always in demand. Okay, so automation will always be there, and people are automating things. Cloud computing, yes, it's definitely in demand. Okay, so there are large companies who are hiring for a lot of cloud computing engineers and this entry level as well as senior level guys who are operating out of India.
Yeah. Are there any particular industries that are more that are looking more strongly for digital skills at this point because of not having them in the past, or is it pretty much across the board?
So it's pretty much across the board, because if you don't have a digital presence, you are nowhere. Okay, so if you see the small shopkeepers also, they are also on Google, and they want you to rate them as in Google. Okay, so please rate me 5 stars on Google so that I can get the next set of customers. Okay, so it's across, and there are companies which are coming up, new companies which are coming up who are only pushing for digital first. So mobile apps are there. There are thousands of mobile apps which are released. If you see the influencers, the one major testament to the digital consumption is the rise of the influencer content marketing or marketing in India. Is like the influencers, they earn in millions in India. 3 years back they were nowhere. Right now they are earning in millions. How? Because of everything like social media marketing, and companies are hiring influencers. So digital skills, social media skills are in vogue. So yes, if you are a good guy, if you can create content, if you see on Twitter and Instagram, people are creating content and they are earning money. So yes.
We have thank you for that. By the way, we're, we've seen a little bit of backlash against in the United States against influencers who, some of them take it too far and assume that they can get whatever they want for free by just saying I'm an influencer. Um, but the real ones who actually do have followings of many hundreds of thousands of people have a big impact. We have several questions from people with MBA qualifications, some newer and some with 25 years of experience, and they're curious to know what path should they take into learning digital skills. What are the things that are most important for them to learn, and how can that advance their career?
See, for MBAs, digital skills will there are several buckets which you can fall into. The first is if you are doing in marketing, or if you are doing in analytics. Okay, so these three buckets which you fall into. If you're doing in marketing, it will give you a lot of leverage when you have social media marketing skills. Okay, so if you can understand how people consume content and you can push the right set of content, you get inbound traffic for your company or for your startup, or for your venture. Okay, for a person who has 10 to 15 years of experience to 20 years of experience, okay, they can also learn the skills. So there is no point, there is no age where you can stop learning. Okay, you can learn the skills, you can apply. Might be you are a better influencer, or a better social media marketer than a new age guy, because you can tell better stories. So it's all about story making. It's all about stories. So if a guy like the 20-year experience can tell better stories, and they can project that story to the customers, they will have a better they will have a better job. They will have more customers following them, clients following them. So that is how we can go about it.
Yep. Thank you. And I think for the last questions, I'm going to ask one from Aditya. I think it applies to a number of people's situations, but the question is, I'm a mechanical engineer working in an automotive component manufacturing company for 9 years, but for the last 2 years, I'm supporting AI operations through upskilling. So can a person like that shift into the AI and machine learning field?
Yes, definitely. That is not to learn skills like this. You can use your laptop in your free time and you can start coding. So it's all how you it's all about your aptitude. Like, you're a mechanical engineer, you will understand things. So will have an aptitude for mathematics. Okay, like I'm assuming you're a mechanical engineer, you will understand thermodynamics, and you will have aptitude for mathematics. So you use these mathematical skills to understand things like Python and R, or whatever skills you need to learn. And this is all like very simple to learn. It's not very difficult to learn. If you want to get into that, you will have to put in some effort, and then you can go get into that. So that is not a problem. And as of now, you're not constrained for data. So data is freely available. You can open a YouTube channel and start to understand what machine learning actually is, and how you can see your career like 2 years down the line in machine learning rather than going into mechanical. I am an electrical engineer. I'm like shifted my stream to management, and then right now I'm the founder of a tech company. Yeah, so yes, we can also do it.
Yeah, it's especially people with an engineering background who understand how systems work and how things are built. Usually it makes it a lot easier for them to understand
Exactly.
the intricacies of software engineering and coding and building systems out of software components. So I wanted to end by asking you about Trip Hippie. Can you tell us just in a minute or two about how that happened?
Yeah, so after passing out from MBA, so three of my friends, two from my MBA days and from my engineering days, so we were avid trekkers. So we used to trek a lot and hike a lot. So one day we got lost when we were trekking in Maharashtra, in the state of Maharashtra. And then an idea came in, like, see, there are thousands of trekkers and adventure enthusiasts. So why don't we build a community for them? So we started building a community for them. And then they asked for, how can I go here and do trekking or rappelling or rafting or kayaking or paragliding? And then we build a vendor website, like vendor listings for them, where they can book and take the tours from listed verified vendors, so that they don't end up in trouble and they are in safe hands. So this is how we did it, and 1.5 years we ran it and we scaled it with like around 1,000 plus vendors were there, and we organized around 10,000, 20,000 tours. So this is how we did it.
It's a wonderful story about how, like you said earlier, an extracurricular activity turns into a major turning point in your career. So so I want to say thank you, Sarbojit, for being here, and got your LinkedIn information up here for people if they would like to reach out to you. It's been a really wonderful conversation, and look forward to keeping in touch with you in the future.
Thank you. Thank you so much for hosting me. Yeah. Thank you, audience, for like getting. No, thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. So you will get a sample resume. I will answer all your questions. You can just ping me on my LinkedIn ID. So I will answer all your questions if you have any. And thank you, Simplilearn, for hosting me. It was been a great pleasure to talk to you guys and like talk to around 1,000 of the participants which were there today attending the conference.
Yes, and Sarvaji, if you send me links to the sample resume and any other types of resources, I will include those in the follow-up email to the audience so everybody can get that. And I do want to mention that, as Sarvaji said, continuous learning, lifelong learning is important. There's a lot of resources available, and one is SkillUp from Simplilearn, which is a free service we offer. Allows you to self-study in several hundred in-demand skills, mainly in the digital economy area. And I think we've dropped the link into the chat window a few times, but I will do that again before we close the session. And again, it's all free, and it gives you entries into the kinds of things that Sarbojit was talking about. We do have another webinar coming up 1 week from today. This one is specifically in the data science area with one of our data science advisors, Ronald Van Loon. He will be talking about which career, data scientist or data engineer, might be a better fit for you if you're looking to enter that field. And so we hope to see some of you there. And please do keep in touch with us through our social media channels, Simplilearn on Facebook and Twitter, and on LinkedIn. So thank you all for being here. Thank you, Sarbojit, again for joining. And this concludes our webinar. Like I said, I will drop one more message into the chat window, and then we will be ending the session. So thank you all.
Thank you guys. Take care. Bye bye.